Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I won't disappoint you. You know what's coming, a question on the northern border.
I know Senator Tester did.
Yeah.
So
The northern border threat analysis was released in July after our bipartisan legislation that Senator Kelly Ayotte and I co-sponsored. Obviously, when we look at the northern border, it's 5,500 miles with a very, very historic and significant partner in terms of Canada, but that doesn't mean that we can ignore our northern border threat assessment. DHS has already committed to me that items such as improved facilities, better recruitment and retention, and better use of technology will be addressed in this strategy, but that strategy is only a first step. The implementation of the strategy must be prioritized during the budget process. And I'm just going to ask you a series of yes or no questions. Well, you have confirmed commit to pushing in the next DHS budget for sufficient funds to execute the northern border strategy, including funds to begin improving facilities, improving recruitment and retention at remote and rural locations, and smart investments in technology to improve domain awareness.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Will you commit to me that the northern border will be a priority of yours if you're confirmed?
It must be, yes.
Thank you. And in order to fully understand, Montana and North Dakota share a border. So if you want to come to Montana, we'll make it so that you come to Montana and North Dakota at the same time. And you will see that gap in border security that is particularly difficult in terms of recruitment and retention of staff and again, monitoring and securing the northern border facility, and that would be that wide open space north of Minot all the way over to through the Montana border. So it's critically important that we get your commitment on the northern border issues. Another program within the Department of Homeland Security, which I've taken a particular interest in, is the Countering Violent Extremism section. And we haven't heard a whole lot about it, but obviously when the chairman went through a number of those incidents, a number of those are really homemade, lone wolf kinds of situations, and we want to make sure that we have relationships within the organization and within the communities to avoid radicalization. So will you commit to evaluating the CVE program at DHS and reporting back to us in 90 days on your initial plans regarding the program, its goals and its grants, and how you intend to prioritize the mission of this organization, which I think is a little at sea at the moment? Yes,
I do.
I think it's critically important, and I would just ask that you pay particular attention to that problem. You know, I was struck by your opening statement where you announced, as we all do, the principles, that you believe in the principles of our founding documents and what constitutes our country. And one of the great founding principles of our democracy is that we're a nation of laws. And I think over the last couple months, we seem to find policies being announced in unconventional ways and policies being challenged in courts in ways that doesn't advance the goal of the administration, in fact, just delays the goal of the administration, but yet we aren't sure who's doing the policy and how we can affect seamless integration and implementation if DHS isn't involved. And so I want to just give you an opportunity to respond to this question. If you are in fact confirmed and you determine that a policy announced from the White House, not DHS, is in fact potentially illegal and goes beyond what DHS is able to do within the confines of law or regulation, and it is otherwise not in the best interest of DHS or the American public, will you take up and repeat the President's statement of policy before Congress and the American people and bend the law or regulation to fit the policy that's been stated? Or will you tell the President and the White House that he has proposed limitations on his power and otherwise is outside the bounds of law and regulation and beyond what is good for, in fact, the department?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I fully intend in all cases and in all ways at all times to fully comply with all laws. I will expect the same of any employee or member of DHS. I also would answer your question, yes. I would definitely tell the president if I thought a particular policy violated any laws of our country. But perhaps more importantly, it would be my intention at every instance to speak with him and other White House staff prior to any announcement of policy to make sure they understand both operational constraints, legal constraints, resource constraints, and the views and insights of other stakeholders that would need to be part of its implementation.
I think over the months, we've had a suspicion that sometimes the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. You come from roles that have been supportive, deputy chief of staff kinds of roles. You're in a new role.
Yes.
In this new job. And that means that you have to represent the Constitution, you have to fulfill your constitutional obligations, and you have to be accountable to this committee. And so I would appreciate ongoing dialogue and making sure that that commitment is actually carried forth. And so thank you so much, and I would note that I've left 48 seconds on the clock.